Good evening, friends, and good evening, Monique. How
Hi
are
there.
you?
Good. How are you, Mary Margaret?
I'm doing
Welcome,
well.
everybody. Good.
Good to be here for another community conversation, and good to be here with you, Monique.
Yes, as always. As always.
So I'm the Reverend Mary Margaret Earl. I'm very proud to be the Executive Director and the Senior Minister at the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry, a very old Boston-based organization that has operated for about 190 years. And we're in the John Eliot Square neighborhood of Roxbury. And the urban ministry has done many things throughout its history. And today our mission is to work across race and place to dismantle racism and white supremacy culture and to advance racial, social, and economic justice. And these community conversations and lifting up issues that are important to Roxbury are an important way that we live into that mission. And I would love, Monique, if you would share a little bit more about these community conversations.
Absolutely. And again, I keep thinking back over the last 3 years when we started these community conversations, and it feels good to be able to highlight some of these important issues. And the conversations have been about the history, the art, and the experiences of Black and Indigenous people of color. And the conversations have provided an opportunity to raise awareness, shift thinking, and allow people to learn about some of the many issues plaguing the residents of color in Boston neighborhoods. These conversations have also provided information on how to support organizations in their work to help people of color. And I'm so glad that this season, that our community conversations are focusing on the racial wealth gap and economic justice. So everyone, please stay tuned and stay connected about upcoming conversations. And thank you for joining us this evening and supporting some of our small businesses in our city.
Thank you, Monique. An important aspect of the work of the urban ministry is that we are encircled by member Unitarian Universalist congregations that are also committed to working with us to make change. And each of our community conversations is sponsored by a member congregation. And this evening, we are proud that our two sponsoring member congregations, both in Lexington, Massachusetts, it's Fallen Church and First Parish of Lexington. And so we want to share with you a brief message from these my colleagues at these congregations about why they're supporting tonight's featured conversation and their own commitments to justice.
Hi, I'm Reverend Ann Mason, Senior Minister at First Parish in Lexington. Our congregation has a long history of working with the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry, and we have formed deep relationships over these 30 years of working together. The Urban Ministry offers a bridge from our suburban community to Boston. We are especially happy to introduce Jackie Jenkins-Scott, President of Roxbury College, on the topic of "Do access and affordability in education level the playing field?" We value racial justice. We believe that equal access to education is a crucial step to creating equity. The UU Urban Ministry community conversations for the past few years have helped us to learn and deepen our awareness of racial justice issues. First Parish in Lexington is so grateful for the opportunity to co-sponsor this important community conversation with Fallen Church. We are delighted that you are here. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Reverend Claire Feingold Thorne, and I'm the minister of Fallen Church in Lexington, Massachusetts.
And I'm Phoebe Eckhart Lee, Fallen's ministerial intern.
On behalf of the whole Fallen Church community, we're excited to welcome you to tonight's community conversation with Jackie Jenkins-Scott, the incredible leader of Roxbury Community College.
We're grateful to be co-sponsoring this event with our friends at First Parish in Lexington. We are so looking forward to sharing this evening of digging deep into access and affordability in education.
We at Fallen Church have a long and rich partnership with the UU Urban Ministry, and their work has brought richness to our engagement with critical justice issues in our community and nearby communities. We'd love to extend our deep gratitude for the shared work of journeying toward a more just and peaceful world with wholeness for all.
Together, we are on the journey towards dismantling racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions, and supporting the vision of beloved community that the UU Urban Ministry shares with us all tonight. We are so grateful to Jackie and her long service with the Roxbury community and the deep wisdom she shares with us this evening.
Thank you to all who have made this evening possible. On behalf of the Fallen Church and for all the other communities present, may tonight's conversations inform our work, our lives, and our hearts as we go forward from this place, transformed and ready to transform the world.
I'm so grateful to my colleagues in ministry for their voices in our shared justice work. So thank you, Fallen, and thank you, First Parish in Lexington. Over to you, Monique.
Thank you. So over these past 3 years, we have taken the responsibility at Urban Ministry to promote small business owners of color by creating community commercials and showcasing incredible restaurants, wonderful products, and amazing services. These commercials have allowed business owners to market their business during a very challenging time in our country. And as you all think about places to eat and shop, please remember the businesses that we highlight during our community conversations. And tonight's commercial is from Suya Joint, one of our favorite places to eat. So please enjoy this commercial.
Hi, my name is Tamika and welcome to Suya Joint. Our location here in Boston is 185 Dudley Street in Roxbury, across the street from Hibernian Hall. You can also catch our food truck around the city on our social media. Our online experience is pretty easy. You can actually go on suyajointrestaurant.com and you have a choice between Boston and Providence. One of our favorite meals here is a combo, which is jollof rice, choice of meat, and plantains, sweet plantains. And that actually was featured on Phantom Gourmet just recently. He tried it with the fufu, and a fufu is a finger food. Normally we eat crackers. This is our cracker. the fufu is like the cracker. When you dip it in a soup, when you mention a soup for Nigeria, it actually can be of a thicker consistency, more like a stew. Our mission statement is literally to share Africa with the world. We have at least 3 different countries, or 4 even sometimes, coming together. So we try to involve ourselves in the community in any way, shape, or form that we can. If they come to approach us with an idea, we are totally there for them. Most recently, we were partnering with World Central Kitchen. And at World Central Kitchen, we provided the meals and they actually paid for the meals. So the voters and volunteers at the West Roxbury site was able to actually have a hot meal as they went to voting or left from the voting. We do offer gift certificates. You can buy that here or online at suyajointrestaurant.com. And we are also working on our Thanksgiving specials, which you should see this week. We are actually open from Tuesday through Saturday. And our hours have changed for brunch on Sunday mornings from 11 to 2, and then for evening service from 5 till 9 p.m.
I can actually give my testimonial. They have really delicious peanut stew, and it is mouthwateringly delicious, and I highly recommend that restaurant. So, and now I'm happy for our main event. So Jackie Jenkins-Scott is a nationally recognized leader who was named interim president at RCC, Roxbury Community College, in 2022. Before that, she served for 12 years as the president of Wheelock College, which merged with Boston University in 2018. In that role, she significantly increased the number of first-generation students at the college and helped lead its first international conference on children, youth, and families, attracting attendees from more than 40 countries. Prior to leading Wheelock, she served as president and CEO of Roxbury's Dimock Health Center for nearly 2 decades.
Her accolades include Leadership and Lifetime Achievement Awards from the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, the Change Agent Award from Color Magazine, and the Distinguished Alumni Award from Boston University. Jackie Jenkins-Scott has co-chaired former Governor Deval Patrick's Readiness Project, assisting in developing a 10-year strategic plan for improving education in Massachusetts. Today, Jackie Jenkins-Scott is the founder and president of the consulting company JJS Advising, and is on the board of directors for numerous organizations and agencies, including the Massachusetts Foundation for the Humanities and Public Policy, the John F. Kennedy Library, the Boston Foundation, and Century Bank. Please join me and Mary Margaret as we welcome Jackie Jenkins-Scott.
Hello.
Hello, thank you. I'm delighted to be here this evening.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome. So you are fitting us in during a very busy week.
Yes,
And I'm so grateful. You are celebrating this week the 50th anniversary of the founding of Roxbury Community College.
yes, we are. We are actually, this Thursday is our kickoff event for a year-long celebration for the college. It's a very special time, and we are just honored to be a part of this great institution at this particular time. Can I tell you a little bit about what's going to happen Thursday evening?
I would love if you
Yes.
would tell us. Yes, please do.
So Thursday evening, we're kicking off the 50th anniversary by really celebrating our legacy and our heritage. We are calling it Celebrating Our Pioneers.
Mhm.
And originally, we thought we would celebrate 50 individuals. And for their contribution, both the founding all the way up till today, because people are contributing to what will be the future of Roxbury Community College. So we recommended to our 4 chairs. We have 4 amazing chairs of the 50th anniversary celebration this year. Reverend Ray Hammond, who is the chair of the foundation, the college foundation. Donna Harris Lewis, who is really the soul of the Reggie Lewis Track and Field Center. And she's been a community philanthropist and just a huge supporter of children's programming, not just in Roxbury, but throughout the state. And of course, the Reggie Lewis Track and Field Center is named after her late husband. Our own chair of our board of trustees, Steve Tompkins, who is also the sheriff for Suffolk County, and Siddiqui Cabone, who is the head of the Friends of Roxbury Community College. And they're the 4 chairs of our 50th anniversary year. And when we started talking about celebrating our pioneers, Siddiqui made a very important point, which is it's wonderful to celebrate individuals, but no institution, no organization is founded just on individuals. It takes the energy, it takes the spirit, it takes the passion of the whole community. So the chairs decided, you know what, we should select only 49 people to celebrate right now. And we're celebrating them with a photo exhibit that will travel throughout, hopefully throughout the state, but certainly in Boston and Greater Boston for the entire year. And what they decided to do with the 50th is to commission a unique piece of artwork that represents the whole community, because it took the whole community to their vision for this college. And literally, Mary Margaret and Monique, people literally, had to filibuster in the State House. They had to protest keeping the 95 from coming through Roxbury. So it took a whole community for Roxbury Community College to be the college that it is today. So we're really excited about commissioning this special piece of artwork that, and we're doing it with both we call it the artist. It's going to be Napoleon Henderson Jones, who lives in Roxbury and is, just an amazing artist. And the younger artists that he is selecting to work with, so that we want to really recognize both, as Common said in Glory, it takes the wisdom of the elders and the energy of the youth to really meet our vision and our goals. So that's the 50th piece.
That's
and
wonderful and exciting.
Isn't it
incredible.
exciting? And that'll be unveiled at our very last event at the end of the 50th anniversary, because it's going to take them some time. They want to, envision what this piece of artwork should be. So that's one of the things I'm really, really excited about.
Understandable.
Very exciting. Wonderful.
So on Thursday evening, we will honor the 49 individuals, and it represents some who are with us and some who are not. The photo exhibit will be unveiled Thursday evening at the college. So we're very, very excited.
Yeah. And some of the people you'll be honoring are dear friends of ours who've actually been featured in community conversations, like Sister Angela and Brother Joe Cook.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have been such a part of, Angela taught at Roxbury Community College, and their commitment to youth and to the our youngest citizens is just amazing. And we had they were nominated by a number of people. The process for selecting the honorees was we had a public process of inviting people to nominate people that they felt represented, made a huge contribution at RCC, either in terms of our academic programs, in terms of the advocacy that it took to found RCC, in terms of their impact on students and education. So yes, Angela and Joe are, and I can't wait for you to see their photograph. It's amazing.
Yeah, me too.
It's amazing.
Can we jump off that 50th anniversary framework and talk about, so first for our viewers, if you don't know, RCC is like a 5-minute walk down the hill from us. Yes. And one of our walking tours that we've been developing is an educational walking tour, and it stops at Roxbury Community College to shine a light on some of that history and some of the community strength that did bring about having a community college right here. Can you share a little bit about that history? Why did the community, what did the community have to fight to build it? Why did the community want a community college so much in this neighborhood?
Sure. The history of Roxbury Community College in so many ways parallels the history of Black people in this country, the history of people of color in this country. The vision for the college actually started in the 1960s, and it took over a decade for these great visionaries, not just to have this vision, but to hold on to it and fight for it. And there were all kinds of obstacles put in their way. First, the legislature didn't want it. So they recommended that Roxbury not have, these people wanted to have a college in the Black community that served the Black residents of Roxbury that they could be proud of, because education is it is like in the DNA of Black folks. We grew up understanding that the way out of everything is education. And it was fought for all the way back in slavery, whether it was slaves who were learning to read against the wishes of their slave masters and so on. So this vision of a college that gave opportunity for Black people in their own community was something that, our pioneers, Mel King, Bill Owens, some of the people, Joyce King, who fought for this, they actually started that fight in the 60s. And it wasn't until 1973 that the college actually opened. And even after it opened, there were efforts for it not to succeed. In early 80s, there was an effort to merge it with Bunker Hill. And even at the very beginning, they said, oh, you don't need a college yourself. Why don't you just be an outpost for Mass Bay Community College, which was older. And they wanted to put it in Roxbury. They wanted to put it in Dorchester. And the community said, no, we want a college in Roxbury. And they, it took over a decade for that to happen. And it finally happened. And when the doors opened in 1973, they were in a small, space on Dudley. And they ended up moving three other times because the college was growing. And the spaces that, they were able to find weren't sufficient for the academic programs they wanted to have and the growth that they wanted to, the opportunities they wanted to have. So every step of the way was a fight. Every step of the way was a struggle. And so every time I think about the history and the vision of those leaders who said, this is what we want for our community and we're willing to fight for it. That's the history of Black people in this country. So it's a beautiful history, and it's one that I can get emotional about, because what it says to me is those of us that are here today, we have an obligation to make sure this institution continues to do well and to thrive, because of the struggles and the battles that went on for it to be here in the very first place, because there were many, many people in this city, in this state, who fought it and didn't want this college to be here. So that's, I think, a grand history, one that has to be celebrated and honored.
I agree with you. And just hearing you talk about all of the elders' wisdom and the strengths that they've poured into getting this college into our community, and thinking about the energy of the young people. And it makes me think a little bit about, what you have seen as some of the strengths and some of those challenges that RCC has faced. And, what are some of the changes that you're trying to make right now so that it is more of an impactful institution for the generation of today?
Sure. Well, so we build on, this history and this legacy. When I first was asked to come in as the interim president, I went around and talked to a lot of people. And one of the things I can say is that there was uniformity in a goal and in a desire for this college to thrive. Everybody wanted this college to thrive. I think because of the legacy, because of the history, because of the importance of this institution, what it signified, even when people disagreed with some of the strategy, and as you know, we've had our ups and downs as an institution, as have all institutions, but institutions in our community, I think, take a bigger hit when we have a down. And that's part of what we talk about when we talk about dismantling systemic biases and systemic ways of thinking about what our institutions can and can't do and how well they can be. There's an assumption that we're not, can't be as good as we can be. So one of the things I found was that there is a ownership and an agency for Roxbury Community College that I think no other institution in this Commonwealth have. And I think it's because of the history. People fought so hard for it that that's a strength. And we ought to honor that strength, and we recognize that strength. If we have something to build on, because everybody wants this college to be successful. They want it to succeed. So that's number one. Number two is the teaching and learning. As Reverend Mary Margaret said, I spent 12 years at a private institution in Boston. And when I came back to RCC, having not been here in a while, I was amazed at the quality of the facilities, the excellence of the programs. Our facilities can compete with any other institution. In fact, I must tell you, our science labs were much stronger than the science labs that I saw at an institution I was president of for many, many years. So we have great facilities, we have great programs. We are in a prime location in Boston. Right now, we are at the heart of this city. And there is, that ought to be honored and recognized and supported. And I think it's a strength that we can build on going forward. And finally, I would say the amazing people that work there, that work at RCC. Some people, one of the people we're honoring as a pioneer is our nurse Hines. She has literally been the nurse at RCC for 40 years.
Oh my goodness.
And that is commitment, that is dedication. She still leads a walking program. So, we have people who love this institution. They love teaching there. They are committed to it. And we just have to figure out how we support them and give them the supports they need to do their jobs and to really be able to live their passion.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I also want to just remind our audience that we are open to questions. So you can certainly drop them into the Q&A section if you have questions that you'd like to ask the amazing Jackie Jenkins-Scott.
That's right. And we'll reserve a few minutes at the end, but we're also happy as they come up, as we see them, to ask them. So thanks for that, Monique, that reminder to folks. What do you consider, how long, one of my first questions is, how long will you be serving your interim? As much as I secretly wish you would be there permanently. You're an interim, but what do you consider your mandate? How long will you be there? And what is the mandate? What do you see as your work in this particular role during the time that you're serving RCC?
So I would say there are 4 big things. The first is we have some things that we have to fix and make stronger. All institutions can be better, and we want to be at our best. And so that's one of the things, we talked about when I arrived. We want to be a high-performing institution that other people look to as being one of the best. And if you want to be, a high-performing institution, you have to know what they look like, what they do, how they're structured, how they're organized, what kinds of systems. And so we have some internal work that we need to do. And I say that with no shame, because no institution is perfect. And if you're not trying to get better, then your institution, in my humble opinion, can't be all it can be. So we do have some things we have to work on and improvements we have to be made. Our community deserves it. Our students deserve it. Our families deserve it. They deserve for us to be the very best we can be. The second thing, we want to do is we want to improve our visibility, our reputation. We want to strengthen us externally. Part of that is because one of our overall biggest goals is to grow. One of the things I've said to our community over and over, our destiny is in our hands. People, worry that, they're going to close or they're going to merge or something. One of the ways that we stay active is what those people did 50 years ago. They fought for what they believed in, and they made sure that the institution had what it needs. So we have to grow. Now, all community colleges in this state have had a loss in enrollment. So Roxbury Community College is no different in that sense. But we want to be, growing. And I'm pleased to tell you that our spring semester and our fall semester, It was modest growth, but we take growth. So we do want to grow our student body so that they can have the benefits of this great institution, that our faculty can, work with the, have a robust community, and you need a robust community. So that's a third piece of what we want to do. And the fourth is that we want to prepare the college for a permanent director, president, who will come in and take this college to the next level. And a big piece of that is celebrating the 50th anniversary year, which is, it meets a couple of those goals that we talked about in terms of, improving our reputation and visibility, and celebrating this great, sense of ownership and sense of agency that this community has. That's really, really impressive.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We actually have a question from one of our audience members. This is coming from Kathy. And she's asking, can you please share some of the basic information about RCC pertaining to the number of students, how many part-time versus full-time, cost of attendance, availability of financial aid, and most popular majors?
Okay, yeah,
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And I hope I get the information right. Right now, for this semester, we have a little over 1,500 students enrolled. Those are credit-bearing students, and we have about 350 students enrolled in our workforce programs. Those are programs that can lead to a certificate or lead to greater employment, a pathway that ultimately, for students who participate in workforce, some of them may want to migrate into a, credit-bearing certificate program. So when you add those two together, it's about 1,800 students. We're still not quite the smallest community college, but we're still small. And we feel that we shouldn't be small, because Boston has such great need, and we want to readily fulfill that need. Right now, the sciences and the science pathway are very, very popular programs that lead to jobs in, healthcare, our nursing, our rad tech programs, our phlebotomist programs. Those are very popular programs. We just, working with the city, have initiated a great program that's around smart building technology. In Boston, our mayor has made a goal of, I think it's by 2050, all the buildings in Boston will be net neutral, and will be energy efficient. So we have a new program that we've just launched, which is very, very exciting, because these can be, you don't have to have a degree to get in some of these professions, and their pathways for earning very good, solid living. And one of our goals is we want to keep people in our community. We want them to be able to afford to live in Roxbury, which, as you know, Mary Margaret, is getting challenging. So those are some of the more popular programs. We still have great humanities programs and early education, but the sciences tend to be very, very, or that pathway tend to be very, very popular.
Thank you.
Right.
One question, and there was another comment in the Q&A from Counselor Fernandez Anderson saying you are amazing. So agreeing with our introduction of you, that you are amazing. Can you talk about something that surprised you since you've been there? What has surprised you?
Something that surprised me. Well, one of the things that surprised me, and I learned a lot more about, is how busy the Reggie Lewis Track and Field Center is. Last year we had about 125,000 people come through the Reggie Lewis Track and Field Center.
Wow.
Now, much of it, and hi, Councilor Fernandez, thank you for joining us. Much of, that the Reggie Lewis Track and Field Center is really for the entire state of Massachusetts. And we just released a report on the future. We call it a pathway forward, because in just 2 years, the center will celebrate its 30th anniversary, I believe 30th. Yeah, 30th or 25th. But it is used by students from all over the state. So that's a real opportunity for us to promote how we can work together across the state. So one of the women on the committee comes from Northampton, and she talked about how important it was for those kids from Northampton to have to come into Roxbury and run track and have and interact and see that, this is a thriving, great community, and that we can have harmony. And that's an example of the resilience and the perseverance and the fight in our community, because it was a huge fight to have the Reggie Lewis and Track and Field Center in Roxbury in this location. People tried to have it outside of the city, and this community said, absolutely not. We want this track and field center right here in the middle of the city. So that really surprised me. I had no idea how many people use the Reggie Lewis and Track and Field Center for track, but I also had no idea how many community people use it. It's open for the community. We have some great facilities in there. For exercise. We have a walking group. We have a seniors program in there. I didn't know any of this. And at one time, we had a great program, apparently with the Boston Public Schools, where they could use the Reggie Lewis Track and Field Center. So we want to bring some of those programs back. I think it's we believe it's a real opportunity, again, to advocate for all the things we care deeply about in our communities. So that was something that surprised me that I really didn't know a lot about.
Do you know I've never been in the Reggie Lewis Center?
Oh, well, you have to come over.
We have to get you down there, Mary
Right down
Margaret.
the hill.
And one of the
All the
things,
time.
Mary Margaret, now, if you like, for our members of our audience who like track, even though there's all these fancy new track centers, the people who are true athletes tell me that the track that's in the Reggie Lewis Track and Field Center is one of the best in the country. Apparently, it's very fast. And even though the track is almost 25 years old, apparently it is still fast. And that means something for people who are runners. So that's a little piece of information that you probably said I didn't need to know, but
No, that's all right. I'm going to visit sometimes.
yes, come, I'll take you over. I'd love to show it to you. We have some work. I mean, like so many things about the college.
Yeah.
Here's a great basic facility, but it hasn't had the investments that it needs to have. So we have a roof that's at end of the life. We have bleachers that are literally the bleachers that were built in the center 25 years ago. So it's like Roxbury Community College. It is basically a great facility that needs a little love and attention and updating. So we have, what they call deferred maintenance.
Yep.
Quite a bit of that, but it's still a great facility.
Thank you so much. There is a question that I have, just thinking about the journey of, BIPOC folks and with regards to education and how it tied to freedom. If you would you just talk a little bit about how education has played a role in making a difference in the lives of folks beyond just money, and how we have worked so hard to, attain a certain level of education to improve our lives?
Sure. My story is the story of so many people. My parents migrated from rural Arkansas to Michigan. looking for a better way of life. My grandparents did not have the benefit of formal education, and their grandparents didn't. I'm just, 4 generations away from slavery. But what we knew is education. We were taught that education is the way out. And we know all the data now. The higher the level of education, it's not just about income. It's about health care. It's about, how you think about, wealth and wealth building. It's how you take care of yourself. It's how you feel about community. It's the more education one has, the more knowledge we have. And, what I like to tell our young people is, what I was told, education is something that no one can take away from you. It's yours. If you've learned something, that's yours. And sometimes when people like to criticize some of our programs because they will say, well, the student didn't persist. They didn't graduate in 6 years. I say every moment that they had is worth it. So if because we don't know where that's going to take that young person, but we know it's open opportunities and doors for them. So that's kind of the way I feel about education. We know what it does. All the data tells us what it does about healthcare, what it does about economics and all of that. But what that subtle thing that we don't get to talk enough about is, what reading a book finding something, finding an appreciation for art education, that changes your life. And it may be subtle ways, but it's there.
Thank you.
Would you also speak to some of those other measures, the harder measures, the more definable, quantifiable measures about the impact of education on, this year we're focusing this series on, especially how do we close this racial wealth gap, and is education one path to doing that? Could you speak a little bit to whether you see, one of the ways to address this gap as being through the educational process?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we know that if you're earning more money, of course, you have more opportunity. You have opportunity to own real estate. And when you own real estate, that is something that changes, your trajectory. So I'm not good at all the hard data that our researchers would be able to tell you, but, we know that more wealth gives you more opportunity. And that's, what every family, I think most people look for. They want their kids to have better opportunity than they had. And you get that by one way you get it. It's not the only way, is, continuing your education route. It could be that you continue to, figure out, work. You take on, a new industry, or you learn more, you become a welder, you become a plumber, and you're going to make a lot more money, but you have educational experiences that allows you to think differently about your life. I'll tell you a very, very quick story that touched me. I love to talk to students. And we had a orientation for spring semester a few weeks ago. And so there were about 25 or 30 students in the room. And I said, it's a small enough group. I want to hear what they're thinking. So I asked the students to just introduce themselves and give me one word about what they were thinking, And of course, nobody gave one word. We learned a lot about the students. But one woman she looked like a baby to me. She said, I started at RCC 40 years ago, and life took its path. And I got pregnant. She kind of told her story. And she said, I'm back because I want to finish my degree. And that to me is what education is about.
I love that.
That's what education is about. And it almost brought tears to my eyes because we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. she started just 10 years after RCC was formed. And she had this goal she had a dream. And she came back 40 years later to complete that dream. That's what education is about. Some professor, something happened that 40 years ago when she took a course at RCC, and she got it in her heart. Her kids are grown now. I'm coming back and I want to complete my education. That to me is why we're here.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm sure there are many stories like that. There is a question from Bithia. Thank you, Bithia. She says, great to see you, Jackie. How does RCC overcome the lack of information that may stand in the way of a young person signing up to what RCC provides access to? And she says that she asked this question. I asked this as a person who in my youth required a personal connection in order to step into a new endeavor.
That is, you gave the answer, Bithia. I think that's what conversations and relationships with organizations, with people, this conversation we're having tonight, changes lives. Somebody encouraged you, Bithia, and you all come across young people. That's one way. It's not the only way, but it's an important way. I think the human touch, the human connection really matters. And so we've got to get out there and help what's available at RCC, help encourage you to, when you run across a young student who says, I can't afford to go to college, we can say, we have a way for you to do that. You can go to RCC and you're going to be able to get it affordable. They have scholarships, they have ways to help out. So having, we have this community that owns this college. We want them to be proud of it, and we want them to be able to know what's available and encourage our young people to take advantage of it. It's a pathway that very often we don't think of as a pathway, and I was talking to someone recently and they said, I graduated from college with all this debt from a 4-year private institution. And that person was saying, if I had it to do over again, I'd go to community college for 2 years and then transfer to, the private institution that person went to, and cut my debt, maybe in half. So this is an opportunity. And right now, I think the political will is beginning to emerge to make community college even more affordable than it is right now. Our governor is looking to put additional resources in the budget for community colleges. So it may become over time, there are some politicians who are pushing our own congresswoman for free community college. So this is an opportunity to make sure that Roxbury Community College is here to deliver for young people and older people in our community. Someone had asked earlier, 27 is the average age of our student body. So we're here for the high schoolers. We have, programs where you can get college credit in high school. We have that's called early college, as all the way up to, as I mentioned, the young woman, she's young to me, who came to Roxbury Community College 40 years ago, and she's coming back.
Yeah. I have what's going to be your favorite question of the evening from Councilor Fernandez Anderson, who asks, what are some of the ways that the city can help with capital improvements or otherwise?
Oh, excellent.
I thought you would like that one.
Well, technically, Roxbury Community College is a state institution. However, there are partnerships and there are ways that the city can support the college. One project that we're working on, Councilor, which I know you know about it, is it was called the Dudley House, which is now going to be called the Center for Economic and social justice. That is a building that has been an eyesore in our community for over 2 decades. It's been boarded up, and we have the opportunity now to renovate the Dudley House. It's going to be a net zero building. It's a historic building. So it's going to be renovated and meeting all the current standards. We don't have enough money, Counselor. Senator Markey and Congresswoman Presley put $4 million in the budget. It's going to take more. But when we finish this project, it's going to be for the community. It will house a Center for Business Innovation. We were talking about developing businesses. It'll house a Center for Business Innovation. And we're going to build on the social justice legacy of this college. We want to honor social justice, the importance of social justice, and the fight that continues. We want to be able to contribute to those conversations and those activities and those results. So that's one way, Councilwoman. Another way is we want to do more with the Boston Public Schools, particularly with the Reggie and with our early college program and our dual program. So we need additional funding for that. And finally, we've been working with the city, and this is about the possibility of helping to figure out a way to make better use of some of our parking facilities to make them open and active for community in the area of sports. So I'd love to talk to you, Councilwoman, and brainstorm and get your support on any or all of these projects.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And I will acknowledge that there have been lots of nice comments coming in from the audience members. Thank you all so much. And most of them have been for you, of course, just amazing people who thank you for the work that you are doing. And as I think about probably our final question for the evening, and thinking about our audience who are always very excited to get involved and support the work that you are doing, are there things that we could do as audience members to kind of support your call to action and what that may be? And then what are your hopes for the next 50 years of RCC? So kind of wrapping that all in a nice little bow, if you can.
Well, I think by the mere fact that you're talking about the value of education and how we know education transforms lives, we know that. And in many communities, it was always a given. You know, no one questioned whether you go on to education or you use education. So I love the fact that, you know, we all have an opportunity to recognize the value of education in the broadest sense. When we take our children to the museum, when we bring our children over to Roxbury and look at, you know, First Church, that's education. And so we all have a way and an opportunity to promote education in whatever way we can. Of course, we at Roxbury Community College are, you know, part of our 50th anniversary is we want to raise more money for the college than we've ever raised because we want scholarship money for our students. A lot of our students have food insecurities that are amazingly sad. So many of our students are struggling, they're homeless, they're looking for housing, or they're just in situations in their homes where it's hard to really be able to study. So we want to be able to better respond to that. We've reopened our food pantry, which is really important for us. So there are ways that I think, you know, people can use their resources, whatever they are, to support whatever educational institution you can support. And of course, we at Roxbury Community College would love to, just the fact that you gave us this opportunity to talk and to share with your audience. And when you come on a tour, we're happy when you do one of those walking tours that Bithia will be leading. We're happy to have you come to Roxbury Community College so you can be as enthusiastic about this college as I am and as so many other people are. It is a gem in this community. And I guess my vision for this college is that, we all admired Archbishop Desmond Tutu, but he taught us the understanding of Ubuntu. And essentially my way of translating it is that I can't be all I can be unless you're all you can be. And so we have this opportunity over this next phase of growth in Roxbury Community College to live Ubuntu, to translate that in our work every single day. And that's a privilege. It's a privilege that all of us have in our institutions as we are laying the groundwork for the future. And somebody's going to look back 50 years from now when Roxbury Community College is celebrating its 100th anniversary and say there were some people back there who really care deeply about this institution and, lifted it up. So that's kind of my vision.
Thank you so much.
so much.
Thank you. We are so grateful, Jackie Jenkins-Scott, for you to take time out of what is a very busy week. I'm sure they all are, but this in particular, to be with us, to lift up Roxbury Community College, the vision for its future, some perspective on its past and that rich and resilient past. And we at the Urban Ministry really look forward to working with you.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you too.
Yes. Thank you for spending time with us this evening.
And
It's
we
been
hope
great. It went too fast.
I know it's fast. And our viewers next month are the youth in our after school program are going to do a youth takeover of community conversations, and they're going to be at the helm for our next conversation, which is about policing in the schools. That was a topic they chose that they want to address and they want to unpack. So hope that you'll visit us next month. So thanks everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Bye.